Hi, this is Tyson with JavaScript Vignettes, and today we're going to be looking at kind of an intro to React, kind of just talking through what React is and what problems it solves. And so let's get started. So what is React? React is a declarative language. It's a templating kind of language because it's really based around building components. But it's very very ubiquitous because you can learn it one place and then write it anywhere. They have a lot of different rendering targets. Like you could render for the web, you could render for native like iOS and Android code. You could render for Canvas. There's a lot of different things. There's even a renderer for Sketch called React Native Sketch. And so you can use React and kind of just basically learn the basic component model and how to like stitch things together with React, and you can use it in a lot of different places. So it's a really cool technology to know because knowing it, you can basically do any kind of component-based view for a lot of different platforms, and I'm sure there are more coming all the time. So one of the first things you have to know about React is that there is a unidirectional data flow. This is different than some other front end frameworks like Angular, for example, where they have two-way data binding. In React, everything comes from the top. So you start at the very top with your data, um, which is basically the state of your application, and then when it changes, every single component underneath it re-renders with the new data. And so you basically at any point can know what's going on because the state is at the very top of the layer, and you can't a component way down here at the very bottom can't call up to a component above it and change its state because its state is set by the component itself. And so each one of these components can have their own encapsulated state, but they can never be changed by the component below them without something like a callback being passed into that component, so that it basically tells you you're directly going to be modifying this component from down under. React uses a templating language called JSX, and if you're familiar with XML or HTML, you'll probably be pretty familiar with what JSX looks like. It's basically a lot of the stuff that you would use in HTML, especially if you're rendering for the web, is going to look very similar. If you are using components, like stitching components together, so you could make something like this with a div um, or a span or a table or whatever HTML element you want, stitch that together, and then you have a entire component. So this, for example, would be our footer component. And so you can pass properties into it. These are called props in React. And so, for example, I'm passing in a string here. I'm passing in data. This could be like an object or an array or any kind of data type that JavaScript supports. And so you can pass things down to components below the component that's rendering them using JSX. And then also you can compose components together, so you can basically create all of the building blocks for your app and then stitch them all together by basically just composing them. So that's kind of a quick rough overview of what React is and how it works. And in the next video, we're going to be looking at how we can do pure functional components, and we'll get started on actually looking at some real React code.